Hello friends, welcome to the Optra Automation. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the identity and access management. Well, identity and access management is not new to the IT world. If we are not talking about the cloud, if we are only discussing about the traditional IT environment that we are doing since very long years, so we used to do the same job in the traditional IT as well, that is the identity access management. We used to create users, we used to create groups, access policy documents, and different levels. Let's say if you are working as a Windows admin, so you might creating users, providing access to the different domains, and grouping users into the different groups as per the customer requirement. And if you are talking about the Linux administration, obviously we almost do the same thing like creation of users, different roles, different access, group policies, etc. So, identity and access management is not a new term in the IT world, but we have to learn like how we can perform identity and access management in Amazon Web Services. So I have started this lecture very first because in the previous lectures we have discussed the basic introduction as well as how we can set up our own free account in AWS. After that, this is the very first lecture because I'm not jumping into the VPCs, networking, EC2, S3, because if you know how to create different users, how to set up their different access, after that we will jump into the core components of the networking as well as EC2 instances. Okay, so let's see what we have in identity and access management. Basically, IAM allows you to manage users and their level of access to the AWS console. Let's say you simply sign up or create a new user account in the AWS, that is your root account. After that, this is the responsibility of a cloud engineer to create the different users as per the business need. It might be possible that you have a production team with 20 members, you have a development team with 40 members. So you need to create the different accounts as per the business requirement. So this is the very first basic need of the business to create the user's account, their password as per the organization policy. After that, IAM gives you centralized control of your AWS account. What does it mean? Centralized control means you can control each and every single user of your Amazon account from the IAM. It allows identity federation. It's altogether a different process. We are not discussing in detail as of now because it is not basic. We need to know a couple of more things before discussing in the detail. Let's say you simply try to federate your access to the different third-party vendors, let's say Active Directory from Microsoft or maybe some social media websites, let's say Facebook, LinkedIn. So it's altogether a different process. We will discuss later in the future videos. Then we have a multi-factor authentication. What exactly it is? Uh, Hopefully you guys have seen there is a two-way authentication coming up in the market for the email services. Let's say most of the crowd are using Gmail, Google Mail services. So there is a two-way authentication. It is nothing but just an additional layer of a security to secure your account. Let's say if you enter the username and the password, after that it is asking the OTP or maybe some super secret questions. After providing the OTP and answer to that particular question, you will be able to log in your own account. So this is just an additional layer of a security. In the same way, we have the multi-factor authentication in Amazon Web Services. Okay, I'll give you one more example. Hopefully, you guys are already working in the IT environment. If you worked with the infrastructure or maybe the services environment, then most of the client if it's related to the banking or finance services. So they ideally provision, or we can say they implement RSA token multi-authentication factor. Let's say if you are trying to access client environment outside of your office premises. Let's say if you're working from home or if you are on vacation, if you're trying to connect your client image laptop to the client network using open internet, you simply connect your laptop to the internet. Maybe it's a third party vendor, whether it's Airtel, Vodafone, Geo, whatever it is. After that, you are trying to make a connection with your customer, with your client network. So how you can do that? Obviously, you need a VPN connection. You provide your username and a password. After that, some client, financial or a banking services client, implement RSA token. It is a hardware device which automatically generate a 6-digit code to log in into that particular environment. So only username and a password is not enough to access that environment. In the same way, if we are talking about the Amazon Web Services, it is the best practice recommendation from the Amazon. It is not mandatory that okay, without that multi-factor authentication you cannot use Amazon Web Services. You can use, but it is a best practice. It is a recommendation from Amazon Web Services that you enable multi-factor authentication on your account, and it is highly recommended for the root account, for the account by which you pay your bills, the account which has the super user power, which is a root account. So this is a basic recommendation. Okay, after that we have a provide temporary access to the users, devices, and services as per the requirement, and everything can be achieved by the IAM roles. We'll discuss in the lab in detail. And finally, there is a provision to create your own password policies. Let's say if your organization is saying, okay, the password length should be 10, and it should be a mix of alphanumerical, numerical, or maybe special characters. So you can identify, you can modify the existing password policy, or you can create your own password policies from scratch. This is the facility in IAM. Okay, so let's discuss what exactly we have. What are the major terms involved in the Amazon Web Services identity and access management? So we have users. Obviously, users, it's a common thing. Anyone, like end users. If I want to use the Amazon Web Services, I want to use the Amazon Web Services console for myself or maybe from any particular client or customer. So obviously I'm a user. And if you're talking about the traditional or the commercial example of users, so let's say if you are working for any particular client, so whomsoever the teams you have, let's say HR, marketing, sales, IT, development, production, whatever it is there, you have to create the account for each and every single user who is going to work with the Amazon Web Services. So all are users, all right? And after that, we have groups. Groups is again, it's a combination of users, it's a set of users. Let's say if you want to apply a particular policy or particular access on all the users of marketing so that they can only see the marketing stuff in the Amazon Web Services. They will not interfere the other department or maybe the data or the services. Let's say the marketing department guys cannot have access to the HR department presentations, data, slides, whatever they have. So we can group all marketing guys into a group, or we can simply name them. It's maybe a marketing group, marketing XYZ, marketing 123, whatever it is. It is user, we can say user identify name. So you can name anything. So basically, group is a set of users. If you form a group with more than one user, it's obviously a group. And it is, if you are working in an IT, maybe within 1 or 2 years of experience, so the definition of a group is not new to you. Then we have roles, and roles in IAM is very, very, very important from your point of interview, from the exam point of view, and it is very, very critical to understand. And again, it is very, very powerful and important. Roles are the important features, and you can assign them to the resources. Basically, roles comes into a picture when you want to provide temporary access to an individual, to an entity for the AWS resources. So we will discuss in detail in the lab, and maybe in the couple of future videos. But as of now, roles in IAM is very important. And if you are working and if you are trying to learn AWS in identity and access management, users, group policies, these are the normal things that we are doing in the traditional IT environment as well. But roles is altogether a different process in Amazon Web Services. So in this video, as well as in the future videos also, I will more concentrate on roles if whenever we are talking about the IAM. And finally, we have permission document, that is the policy. Amazon provides you a lot of inbuilt policies for the EC2, for S3, for different levels, for admin access. There are a lot of policies inbuilt. All policies are written in the JSON language. If you are capable enough, if you know JSON in and out, if you are a developer and you think, okay, I don't need inbuilt policy, I can write my own policy. So you can good to go. You can create your own policies. Also, Amazon provides you a full-fledged list of the policies. You can copy the JSON, you can modify, you can amend that, or if you want to try to write from scratch, you can do that. Policy document is simply a permission document. Let's say if you create a policy that users, or we can say the full access. Okay, full access policy is there on storage, on the storage of Amazon Web Services. Or you have a group of marketing people and you have 20 people in the marketing group, and if you apply that particular policy of full access to the marketing group, then all the 20 peoples will have full access on any AWS resource which was mentioned in the policy document. So again, in the IAM, two things are main important: roles and policies. In the future videos, we will see how we can deal with them. And in the next video, obviously, we will see how we can implement IAM in the lab environment. So that's it for this lecture. Click on like and subscribe to get the latest update about the cloud computing AWS. Thank you.